right. Another episode of the Alumni Experience, and we are here with some camp royalty, Jarad and Melanie, Silverstein Cats or Cat Silverstein, or however you want to put it. Uh, but welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, basically, like, we're doing this thing where we're just talking to people who went to camp, where they were, where they're at now, and kind of the road that we all go through with life. But the interesting thing is, you guys met at camp, so that's crazy, and you're married now, and they're kids, and that's nuts. So, like, give us a little background about how you were each introduced to the GSC family, and then how this happened.
You can go first.
All right, so I was introduced to the GSC family through Steph Shane, actually. Parents are best friends. We've been friends since we were 5 years old, and she went the summer before my sister Jamie and I started. And she came back and she told us how much she loved it, and we begged our parents to let us go to sleepaway camp, and they finally gave in. And so our first summer was back in 1994. I was 12 and Jamie was like 9 or 10, and the rest was history for us.
That's awesome. So wait, you were 12. So I was 12 when I first started, and I kicked myself forever I didn't start earlier. So is that the same kind of thing? Okay. Making sure I wasn't alone in that. You started earlier though, right, Mel?
I started in 93. Okay. So I was 8
turning 9.
I was born in 84.
But you were born at the end of August.
How old was I?
8.
I was turning 9. Yeah, and I went with Brittany Kutcher. We went together, Bunk B, me and Brittany, and then yeah, I just loved it. I started like real young, and clearly 8, and then I went forever. I went for a much longer time than my partner over here, but yeah. So, and then I went for first summer of 93, and then my brother's Jordan Cats went the next summer when he was
6.
He wasn't 6, he was like 7. So 7. We both started when we were all in Vogelston. Were you in Vogelston?
Caden.
Oh, Kate. Well, we all, like me, Jamie, Jordan, we all were in Vogelston
Strauss. Yeah. That's awesome. That's a weird dynamic because you both went to camp and both had siblings at camp.
Right.
So that's weird because I didn't know what that was. I have no idea what that's like. So I mean, how was it with having siblings at camp? Like, is that weird where like home never kind of left you, or?
No, it was cool. As long as he didn't get a better package than me. Like, I would always be like, yo, did mom send you those flaming Cheetos? Like, why did you get the ramen, whatever? But that was, I also have my cousins who went too. Right. So Marley and Sarah Rosenberg went. So at one point we were all there for a long time. And then now currently, minus the pandemic, my younger cousins, Morgan and Lola Rotman, they go too. Right. So they are there now.
That's awesome.
And, so
keeping the tradition.
Yeah. I was actually Sarah's counselor. So that was a little weird being like aunt, cousin Melanie, but yeah, I mean, I only know my family being there.
Right. That's crazy. So were you guys the first wave of your family that went?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Awesome. What bunk did you start in, Jarad?
9. Bunk 9.
9. That's cool. So I was 12 at the same time. I started in 10, and it's crazy how much of that first year kind of like seared into my brain like that. Is it the same thing with you guys? You remember a lot of your first year, and then the rest kind of it's kind of weird and choppy.
My first counselor was Uncle Reagan. If you remember Uncle Reagan,
he
was awesome. I think he was from like Texas or like Colorado or something. I don't remember, but he was such a different type of person than I was ever used to growing up in Northeast Philly, with like a different perspective on things, with the outdoors and things like that. And coming from going to like a day camp my whole life, going to the sleepaway I knew nothing about, in a place I never had been to before, it was an eye-opening experience, and loved it.
So who wanted to go home? Did either of you have like homesick or anything right off the bat? Or?
I was going by my second year. I was going both encampments. So I was like 9 years old,
Just
like
in the blood. Yeah.
just going. So I would think I went like both encampments every other year or something, of course, until like we were staff members. And
Right.
you were a staff member for how long? 1 year, 2 years?
4 years.
4 years.
Mhm.
So yeah, I
That's
just kept going forever, like through college, through everything. So
Well, yeah, and you did every job that
did
I
you ever?
think you could do. You did every job I think you could do at camp, right? I mean, besides director.
One, you
I was never a waitress, and I never ran the kitchen. I was never the pantry girl, any of that. But
Right.
yeah, I
Uh,
was
You were,
in.
yeah, CIT, JC, senior counselor, village leader, girls head counselor. Yeah. Whew. That's a
Yes,
lineup.
I know.
Jared's the underachiever. No, no, no.
Totally the underachiever. I stopped after my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
You know.
One day you're going to overachieve me in something. One day you will. Maybe not now, but one day.
No, you won't. the- That's good. So, okay, so you guys started mid '90s or like around then. What would your favorite bunk? What do you think your favorite bunk as a camper was? Like, what was that year for you?
Waiter for me.
Later.
I just loved every summer.
Yeah.
Can't pick like a specific. I do think it's interesting though, that we both, I feel like all of our friends were all counselors in like council, but we always were in Vogelson and Strauss. Like
Hmm.
we always liked to be with the younger children, I guess, as counselors. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't think I had like a favorite summer. I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate my camper years once you're on staff. Like
Yeah.
it's just nowhere. It's just the best being a camper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The blissful ignorance of the curtain being over your face and just enjoying life for a couple of
Yeah.
years. That was good, right? Yeah. So, because from everyone I'm talking to, I find that like there's, especially if you were a camper and then a counselor, you kind of had that camper year, and then there was that staff year that kind of like hit you, and it either the staff years either made you grow up or like kind of gave you perspective or something clicked, that way for try and figure something else. Like when I talked to Bryce the other day, and he was saying about how he was thinking about going to college, and then and then he went to camp, and then he was like, I need to do good in college. Like that was like that first summer for him was that click. And so I was curious with being a camper. Like for me, it was waiter for sure. But I got, I had the dream team with Chad and Sean Banks, and it was just, it was like a crazy turnaround summer for me to try and kind of cement what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. So it was, so when Jared, you said waiter, that, that's what a lot of people say,
Never wait.
and you were never a waitress. So,
So maybe that, I mean, I definitely think my most impactful or the most impact on me was my counselors in when I was young.
oh
In
yeah.
Stratford, Stacey Beretta, Nicole Lewin,
Hmm.
all of those people I feel like were like my most, like I still remember them the most, even though they were the furthest back for me.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cemented who you became. Like it kind of gave you that, those stepping stones of like mentorship of where you want to be, because you were a great counselor. So you must have had great counselors to show you to be a great counselor.
Or I had crappy counselors and I knew what not to do.
Or that too, right? I always say that to my wife with whenever I know I'm gonna like turn into my dad a little bit on some things. Like there were some things he was great at, and there were some things he was bad at, and I was like, I'm really glad I learned how not to handle that situation because he did it the opposite. Like,
Yeah.
but but you kind of got that from the counselors that you had too. So I mean, who did either of you have like that counselor that was like the mentor? That's a tough one because you named off a lot of really great counselors.
Hmm.
I stumped you.
When I was a waiter,
Yeah,
I had Brian Moyer and Damar, who, as humans and as people, I love
Yeah,
them so. Uh,
absolutely.
I don't think at that point I had really. I liked camp, but my love for camp really developed the following year when I was on staff. I was still,
Hmm.
to be in the camp scene, but I loved them. Like they were just cool dudes, and I felt like I learned a lot from them. So I would go with the two of them
That's
for me.
awesome. Yeah.
I feel like I had really great counselors, and I had bonds with a lot of them. But I think my most like meaningful like learning from people was probably like my peers, like my co-counselors and my people that were on kind of on the same level as me and continued going. Like we are still best friends with most of our camp friends.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all in our wedding. We are still friends with all of them pretty
We're
Hmm.
much.
raising our kids together. We go to camp with them, with our
Yeah.
kids. Yeah, it's pretty special.
I
And a
love
lot of
that.
our friends, yeah, married their camp. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Friedmans, the Liz, Abby and Lee.
Hmm.
Um, wow, there's Elise and Rona, like
Right.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm my kind of one of the things I was planning on doing in the future for this is we wanted to do like a series or whatever we do like couples, so we can kind of showcase a lot of the because there's so many couples from camp that are like successful couples.
Like
What's
we
that?
weren't together at camp.
Yeah,
We all
yeah.
had we had our own significant, what, we don't have to go there,
We
but
don't
we all had our own
What
thing.
happened from 10 to 1 does not need to be discussed. Like,
Right, but we always hang out with our camp friends outside of camp.
right.
So we would just hang out. Like we still talk to Matt Goldstein, Mike Henkin,
Hmm.
Jeff Shane, obviously Jamie, Sean Stoller, Chad is Jared's best friend. I mean, we still talk to Becky, everybody. I
It's
mean,
awesome.
Mhm.
they were all
It's
like
it,
at our weddings and
I love that that friendship that you cement there. Like you hear the people that didn't go to camp, they talk about like their friend from college and that's their friend like forever. And then the people from camp, like when you say like your camp friends, and I'm like, well, there's like 50 of them. And people that you've stayed in contact with, or at least have a relatively good idea what's going on with everyone, and if you needed somebody, they'd be there in a minute. It's a totally different kind of friendship, I think. I
Oh,
mean, yeah. So I mean, same thing for you. Like, were these friendships cemented when you were campers or when you were on staff, or?
well, mine I think were a lot with as campers. I mean,
Hmm.
Steph Magnus, Jamie, Becky,
Yeah,
Shane, Rachel. I mean, we were all just friends growing up. I still
right.
talk, like Meredith Ostak. I was my co for like many summers, so like we're closer from that level. I always knew everybody, but I feel like these other girls, like I was just Jamie's maid of honor at her wedding. Like I've known her since I was 9,
That's
and I
crazy.
know her brother, and so those kind of
Yeah.
things.
Well, there's that.
that.
Right,
Yeah.
but then I still see Monica Moretsky, who was really good friends with Marley, and Sarah Frank, which was always with Sarah Rosenberg. Like, it's just
Yeah.
crazy to like, it's just
Yeah.
awesome.
It is. It is awesome. And these friendships have spanned 20 plus
25 years.
years, 25 years,
Yeah.
That's and with no end in sight. And that's really cool.
Mhm.
I love that about that. So, how about awards? Awards are kind of a big deal at camp. Those things happen, some people get.
Oh, just kidding. He did get the feather.
I got a
You got a
counselor for
feather? Nice. Nice.
that. Then I
Awesome.
keep going.
What about
Yeah.
the camp?
Feather.
You got a feather? Okay. All
I
right.
must be
So
a little bratty young one because I didn't get anything until when I was older. I got my first feather in bunk N, and
N.
then N.
I can't even believe that.
Yeah. So, but then it started the trend. So it was like the feather, and
Yeah.
then the big saltsman, because Jordan got the little saltsman,
Right.
big
Yep.
saltsman, and then the Furman,
Mm-hmm.
and then I won Olympics as a captain.
Oh, well, there's that. You
That's not
know,
That's an award in itself. My
that
team
is.
was amazing. Ravenclaw for life.
Yeah, well, hey, Hufflepuff, number one, but otherwise, I
But
will
yeah,
say,
yeah.
you know, the Olympics thing. I tell a story about you with Ravenclaw all the time. Whenever we're talking about Olympics, I'm probably going to repeat that story with interviews as long as I'm doing this. The
Good.
most impressive thing I think I've ever seen was knowing how much you loved the kids on your team. You knew every kid's name
I
because you
remember.
had to name them all the way because with Apache it rained out. So
Yep.
we couldn't do the fire. And they lined all the kids up and I'm like, how in the hell is anybody going to name all of their kids when they're telling this, you know, the story? Because for me it was like, oh yeah, buddy, pal, like, you know, whenever you couldn't, you know, you just couldn't get the name right off the
I
bat. And I
remember that.
watched you just go boom, 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 all the way down the line. And it was like Tom Baxter level name knowing. It was really impressive, you know, and I tell that story all the time. So hail to the queen. That was incredible.
Take
Like,
that. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, we never left first place.
yeah,
Ever. There was an amazing team. And Nick McCluskey was my and I actually studied abroad in Australia, and he was living there, and I would hang out with him when
that's
I
so
was,
cool.
yeah. So I would see Nick and like meet his friends. And so that was really cool. I mean, I know Olympics isn't really like an award, but like to me, like winning,
Yeah,
I can't explain like that was yeah. And I did know the names. I'm that type of person, like I was always there for the kids.
yeah, yeah. So Jared, so with Olympics, were you a captain?
Yes, I was. I was captain in 2000, and I had the lowest scoring team in the history of Golden Slipper Olympics. But it was
And
the
that
best.
was.
We won.
Because you had spirit and
We won Spirit of
sportsmanship.
Sportsmanship. We were the Swordfish.
Oh yes, the
So
swordfish.
we had to go up against like the Killer Whales, who
I
were
was
like
on
a
the
great
killer
team.
whales.
Yeah, but we were a really wonderful team. We came in fourth place in literally every event, every evening activity, every everything. And then we won
Yeah.
the boat race. We won the regatta,
I forgot.
Yep.
and I almost got fired because I told all the kids if we won the boat race, I want every single camper to jump in the pool. Like the side of the, if they were like starfish, jump in the deep end, like,
And they did?
no, no,
Oh.
no, we all stayed in the shallow end, but we won, and it was just
Yeah,
like a euphoric feeling. So I said, everybody go in, and then we won Spirit and Sportsmanship that night.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
I vividly remember the swordfish because you guys actively looked like you were having a great time not winning anything. And that's
yeah,
fun. That's cool. You
yeah.
know?
And that year, Chad, who was on my team and has been my best friend
Did he have a win
since
yet?
I was like 15. No, he hadn't won yet. He had a truck that was red, and we
Mhm.
turned it into
I
a giant
remember
I
swordfish.
remember
that.
this.
We named him Slappy.
I remember
I
that.
remember it's as you're telling it now, I'm remembering it too. That's really funny. So I missed a lot of that Olympics. I was actually on the killer whales and
Woo!
right? Um Day two got a head cold and went into the infirmary with like 102 fever
And Ruth never let you out.
and never let me out.
I was sick the first night also because when they had the breakout,
Hmm.
they called like they announced the captains or whatever. It was like, after we did like friends and taps, we were at the pool. It was a cold night. It was like maybe 50 degrees, and we all had to jump in the water.
Yeah. Hmm.
And uh, and we're like swimming around like morons, for like 20 minutes. Like, me and my co-captain, who is Amanda Uri, if you remember her, she went for like 1 or 2 years. She was
Hmm.
from Hampshire. We were just like swimming around in the water, and I remember Deborah Ellick was a village leader, and we're just looking at her, and she's like, "Can we get out of the water now?" And we're all just like kind of, swimming in the water, and there's no signs of it ever ending, and all the kids are just kind of standing around, and we're like, all right, let's get out. And then we get out, and then later on that night I felt like I had like pneumonia. But it was a
Yeah, it
very memorable thing.
was not a heated pool. at the time, I don't think. So,
Yeah.
but that's funny. You know, it's funny you brought up the regatta before because that's one of those events I miss. Like, I don't think they do that anymore.
They definitely don't.
Yeah, it's super dangerous.
It's very, very
Like,
cardboard. You're putting like human children in it, and they
Right.
all stink, and you know, it's kind of a disaster. But it was fun.
It was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun. I always liked that one. My one of my favorites from being a captain was the uh hanging on to the back of the banana boat hot dog thing. And it was the captains versus the captains. Did you guys do that when you guys were captains?
what team are you captain of?
I was captain of Luke Skywalker. It was '05. And
Yeah, 'cause Becky was Chewbacca.
right, Becky was Chewbacca, Tommy was Vader. And so that was
I
we
was
still
there.
argue about that constantly. But it's what was funny was they had they did the captains versus the captains. The whole camp was down at the lake, and the co-captains got on the little hot dog thing that was hooked up to the wave runner, and it was whoever could. It was like bull riding. Whoever could hang on the longest won the event, and then they went, like that. So I'm watching Tommy go up, and he's like looks at me. There were some expletives, and then he was like, "I'm not losing." And he sticks his arm like through the thing and loops it around. And he's like, my arm's coming off before I let go. And I forget who was running the lake. I think it was Jake at the time. He's like, just took off. And he goes and he's just hanging on and he's going around a couple of times. All of a sudden, like kills everyone's time. And I'm like, well, but the hot dog flips over and he's skidding along the water. And the water hit, I guess, perfect way, and his trunks flew off of his body, and then he comes around and just flashed the whole camp as he's skidding along the water on the top. And I was like, well, that's one way to win, you
Yeah.
know?
Did he let go?
Huh?
Did he let
He
go?
had no. He let go once. He let go once. What's the name? Jake was screaming back to him, "Let go!" And then he finally like kind of wiggled his arm out. But
Yeah.
it was insane. But it was one of those things. You do anything you could do to win, with Olympics. I mean, did you guys even sleep the 4 days? Because I barely did.
No
Like,
way.
No. I wanted it so I think I'm very competitive in that way. Like when I want something, I wanted to win so bad that I don't know. That's just me. Like I wanted Jarad so bad that like I had to have him, and
there
now
you
here we
go.
are married with
Uh-huh.
2 kids.
Yep.
So I feel
Just
like
clubbed him and dragged him in. No.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But I feel like yeah, it's just I feel like talking with you though, it was like to you, I was like, you remember me. I feel like when
Yeah.
we visit now, like the kids don't know who we are.
No, no. Well, and that was kind of part of why I wanted to do this is because there's so many traditions and things that started either with us or before us. And I think that they would really appreciate kind of hearing how all of that came around. We
Right.
don't there's not a big documented, history of GSC book laying around, other than you talk to, I don't know,
Right. Like,
Maureen or,
I don't know.
somebody like
I don't know if
Sue.
the red ring is still a thing. Like Tom
Yeah.
Wilbur like I still kind of believe the red ring.
I'm still terrified of the red
Like I
ring. I
kind of
have
want to believe
nightmares of the red ring.
that. So I
Yeah.
feel like those things and like one
Did
of
you
my
tell your kids about the red ring? Because I definitely told my kids about the red ring growing
when
up.
we went up for this,
They were in the pool.
we were just
Yeah,
at that
same.
alumni weekends.
Right. Okay.
Like the Freemans, all the kids were there, and
Hmm.
Meredith's kid, and it was just like it was the best weekend ever because it was
Yeah.
like seeing them like doing it was just like one of the best weekends of my life. I
Yeah.
like took them. We went to the dock and we dug for worms and I helped them catch their first fish. And like, Brody could be taking Harper to the dinner dance and like Meyer and Benji and Lincoln. Like it was just,
We had a giant campfire.
yeah,
It was really,
it
really
was
awesome.
really awesome.
I'm kicking myself for not going this
A lot
year,
of
but it
people,
was.
I think
people
next
didn't
year,
do
if they
that.
do it, they're gonna
I mean,
Yeah.
we're also in the middle of a pandemic, so a
right.
lot of
We
people
probably
were.
weren't
Yeah, I
I
mean, but
had,
always people.
I was one of the vocal people on the board about being careful and and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I
Yeah.
can't contradict myself now, with
Right.
that. So, but I saw the pictures and I was obviously was talking to everybody and I'm just like,
But it was also interesting, like I can't believe we slept on those mattresses.
Isn't it
Like
awful?
awful. Like
Awful.
and bathrooms, like I just can't. I mean, granted, our cabin was council boys, so it was even gross. But like those are
Yeah.
the new cabins. Like I can't even believe. Like
Listen, we've
Giving them-
destroyed those. We destroyed
no,
those
they're the
bathrooms.
boys' bunks. Like I can't
Yeah.
believe that. One, I used to think you put like what was that thing? The jelly mat?
Jelly roll.
The thing that no,
Jelly roll.
the thing that made it softer.
Yeah.
The jelly roll was the blanket.
Oh, the egg crate thing?
Crate. I used to think
Yeah.
if you had the crate on it was like
like
the
heaven.
best thing ever. Right.
hmm Oh yeah, I remember when I got on staff and Sax was kind of teaching me how to set up. Like, here's what you got to do. You got to get there first. So you can turn your bed sideways. Then you get an egg crate and you put your fan here. And he was like, he was setting up his apartment, and he was teaching me all of those things. And I was like, oh, an egg. What do you need an egg crate for? Because like back then I could sleep anywhere, and now I'm like, no, I need a Tempur-Pedic, or else I
Yeah.
can't move in the morning. It's not good.
There's no air conditioning.
You need to like stack like 4 mattresses on top of each other to have like a semblance of comfort, but that's okay.
That was always like the last nights of camp. That was, you would always take a couple of mattresses, then it was like living in luxury,
Yeah.
when no campers were there.
I'm
But,
thinking we still talk to Reed Lyons.
Reed was like one of my heroes growing up.
Yeah,
But it's so funny. There wasn't a lot of age difference there, but like, you had these people that were like mentors to you that you thought were so much older and they really weren't.
He's not on social media, but him and his wife, they have 2 sons and they live in South Philly near us and we see them all the time and they're
That's cool.
doing wonderfully.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like you guys. You guys were a couple of years ahead of me, but I looked up to both of you. And so it's so weird that like now it's like it's like 3 years difference or something, 3 or 4 years
I
difference.
totally understand. Like we were just went to Laura Brown's wedding, and I was like
Right.
thinking she was such a baby, but she's not. Like we hang out with her.
Right.
Like so crazy
Yep.
that like I guess in camp years, it's just a big difference. Even Jarad was like, "Oh, Jamie's older brother," like, but it's really
Yeah, we're 2 years apart.
right.
Right.
So it's not like
Right. I'm the old head.
right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yes.
like Friedman's one of my best friends, and he was a CIT in bunk 9 when I was in bunk 10. And like now looking back, it's now it's negligible, but at the time I was like, oh, he's this wise old man who's 16 years old. But, yeah.
Speaking of wise old men, though, I always think about like it is sad that like the kids will never get to anyone will never get to experience Ronnie Asherman. And do you remember the fridge and the freezer?
Oh,
So when
absolutely.
you saw him coming, you were at Arts and Crafts, and I would just wait.
He'd hook you
He'd
up.
have that key, and if he liked you, and he always loved me. I think I was 10 for camper counselor one day.
I was.
One year. You were too? Yeah,
Nice.
and you would know that he would open that, and there would be all those popsicles and the sodas, and it's like it was like heaven.
And what kind of sodas? What kind of sodas were they? They were always the A Treat.
It was like cream soda.
It was the brand A Treat that he would get from like
there was like
orange soda and like cream soda.
It was always weird. It was like a weird variety pack he bought. Yeah.
Right, and like Jody Asherman now, and I always thought like she's has a daughter like our daughter's age, and like they're gonna grow up together, and like it's just so like just
so cool.
awesome.
That was one of the worst days of my life at camp when we found out about Ronnie passing away.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a mess. And like that year, it was that year and the year before, I got really close with him because I was driving the vans up. And so I would go with him to pick the vans up, and then I got to keep, as a child, these vans for like a week. So like I would just roll around with like my whole wrestling squad would just be in the back of the truck. We're going places. I had a camp gas card. I was like, why would you give this to an 18-year-old kid? And but we got really close from doing that. And I remember as a counselor just almost dying on a regular basis whenever I was in the van with him, and he got mad about something on sports radio, and he would call in and scream at them
Remember that when you had to beg him on a trip, you would beg him to go to like Burger King or like
yeah.
best stuff. He would like
Hmm.
those like the kids now probably don't even.
He was our CIT driver. Like when we would go out every week for the
Yes, he would take us to the
CITs,
Stroud
he
Mall.
would take us to Alfredo's.
Alfredo's. That's so funny. Yep. Oh man. Yeah, we would we
Yeah. Do they get to leave now?
no,
CITs?
I don't so now Krameroff is the one running the CIT group. I know that they get to go out, but not like we did. Like it's a more limited time because like they're more like campers I think now than they were then. Or like back then we didn't pay to go, but we got to get trained and all that. But now they pay to go as a CIT, and it's a little bit of a different dynamic. But I was just talking to Justin the other day, and I had said like I hope you're doing something for the JCs this year because they missed all of the training of the CIT summer with being closed, this year. I said, if you want to reach out to, we can get people from alumni to kind of help out with like doing stuff if you want, like with kind of giving them like some guidance here and there, but like they need something because they didn't have that grow up moment
Yeah.
of like Sue Ellen pulling you in and smacking you, like she was rough, man. you know. Did you guys so how about your CIT years? Like what was that like for you guys? Like that first moment of being on staff?
Sue almost scared me.
Sue Ellen wasn't there my CIT year.
No?
No, it was that she was not there that summer. So Tom and Maureen were our CIT coordinators when I was
That's
a CIT.
crazy.
Uh-huh.
Huh. Was that the only summer she wasn't there then? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
Did you have Blue then?
Yeah.
Yeah. That dog is like 106.
Yeah.
Still alive.
Nah, I think Blue just passed away recently, like within the last couple of years.
That dog was in its 20s then.
Yeah, like yeah. She wrote like a book or something about Blue, I think.
Yeah, I feel like some of my CITs, I still like see, the people that like Amanda Talbot and Tara Grishis and like all these, they all like live near here and they all have kids like it's just Lena Kolb and who else was I mean, Josh Moskowitz. I haven't talked to him in a while, but they were all like Matt Regner, Leslie Lazansky, and then obviously like Jamie, April Smith. I talked to, like it's
wow.
Yeah, I mean we all have kids now, and I know April's kid goes to camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, like we had a good bunch of CITs. I'm trying to think. Aaron Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
So what year were you CIT?
I guess it was. I don't know. I have to.
You would have been in 2000 because I was in 98.
Yeah, and I wasn't like a great CIT. I think it took me like a while to really like get my feel on like
The counselor side.
Yeah, like my count.
Being responsible for children.
Maybe that's you, but
no, I was a great
so
wait,
yeah.
Jared, you were part of the boy band CIT group, right? Weren't you? Were you in like the Backstreet Boys thing with Chad and?
There will be a reunion
with Chad and Matt,
Mm-hmm.
and Eric Pastor and Brett Rubenstein.
Rubenstein, yeah. That was, and I think Dimmler was my CIT that summer in '98. That was cool.
Together, yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah.
For my 30th, they're gonna do a reunion.
Oh yeah, the Backstreet Boys.
It's a bunch of years away. No, the Camp Backstreet Boys will be doing
Camp Backstreet. That's what I mean. Yeah, the Camp Backstreet Boys.
Jarad knows about.
We're gonna have to video.
Matt and Matt.
We're gonna need the exclusive for the on this channel, I think.
Make it work.
Okay.
But I want it with the blonde hair again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Frosted tips. Gotta frost your tips.
Okay. Sure.
We were just talking about how Jarad said that he did bunk brush. Like, no way would bunk brush happen now.
I did it at the beginning.
Well, especially now. But
now, especially. But I'm saying, like, what we would do for the people would do for the kids.
I ate dog food with Ray. Like,
Ray was the best.
He was the best.
He was an animal. I love him.
He was amazing. Yeah, he was the best.
You know what I love? You know, he's that guy. He's absolutely there for the kids. And if you got him, like you got him, you know. And if you didn't get him, he was really weird, you know. And I got him. I loved him. And like he was that guy who would give you $100 and give you his car and say, go buy cheeseburgers for everybody. Like, and you know, he called me. Was it obviously not last summer because it was closed, but the summer before that, he said, hey, I got this kid going through a really bad situation. Like, can we get him to camp like on a scholarship? Just like that. Then I made calls, the board met, we talked about it, we got him there. And I remember like him just saying, like, I knew you were a good one.
Yeah.
Like that. And I'm just like,
more than one of his kids, more than
like,
one of the
you're the good ones.
kids
Yeah.
as campers in my bunks. Because
Yeah.
I was over in Vogelston, I had, you know, he was an elementary school teacher.
Right.
So I would have like one kid a summer or an encampment maybe in my bunk, and they were always like just wonderful kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I loved them. Like every time I got one of Ray's kids in my as a counselor, like I knew they weren't gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and if they were a problem, they definitely weren't a problem when he was nearby.
Yeah.
But
Effective
yeah,
teacher. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So, what do you think? What summer impacted you the most as far as like you know lessons learned and like kind of had that growing up like click moment?
I think mine was probably the summer that I won the Furman because
Hmm.
I feel like I was so shocked that I won the Furman. You know, I hadn't been that long on senior staff, and I think a bunch of like all my close girlfriends were all in council girls in the Phyllis group, and I was,
Phyllis.
yeah, Phyllis,
Yeah.
and I was like still in Strauss, and you know, Lauren Beagle was my village leader, and I know that like Amanda Barbich and Meredith Cohen, like they weren't, but they were all like kind of like my Strauss group kind of growing up.
Hmm.
Bryna, um, all those girls. But I think that that summer, like to know, like, and to be recognized for like how much I really like grew through the years at camp was just like an incredible feeling.
Yeah.
Especially I won it with a Don, which was really cool because he was such a
Yeah.
good counselor and such a good person.
Yeah.
So I think being a village leader and girls head counselor, I feel like was such a different experience. It was like then obviously the next steps, but I also feel like it was really hard for me because I couldn't create the close relationships as you do when you have a bunk.
Yeah.
So I think that that was hard for me
Yeah.
in certain ways. But then I can see like how you know, I had, you know, then I would have these campers though that were like my campers that were becoming staff as village leader, like a lot of the Wades and Rachel
Mhm.
Clerkin, and it just kind of the progression of all that was, yeah, every summer. But I think eventually, like as I got a little older, it just changes for you.
Yeah. I vividly remember you winning Furman. That was an awesome. I mean, I cried. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I was there. I was already gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And I
mean,
was
like
saying, Jared, I wonder if me and my brother are the only brother sister that ever won it.
I I don't I don't think anyone else
No,
was siblings
me
won that. Like
me
Well, Jamie
and
won with my brother.
right.
right. Right. But also I mean there were a lot of years where it only went to one staffer too. It didn't where
Right.
it didn't it wasn't split girl side, you know, girl side, guy side. So like it's a really hard to get. You like it's a very special level of person that got that award, you
I
know.
still
So
have my speech.
I'm sure
Yeah, I mean,
it would be framed if I won, it would be framed. I think I kept saying to myself if I had maybe one more summer, maybe I would have had a shot. But I mean it was just like when I left when Steve left, and it was because I got into an argument with that guy Jack that came in when he made me I knew I had one more summer that I could do, and then he made me re-interview for my job and then offered me less money. And because we had gotten into an argument over the summer while he was shadowing and stuff because I didn't know who he was. And So yeah, but I'm interviewing for my job again. I'm like, man, I was just Olympic captain. Like what are we talking about, dude? Like this is my job, But so I was like, fine, I'm not doing it. Forget it. Like, and then I was like, you know what? That would have been. I feel like that would have been like the year and then go. That would have been
But for
the
me, I was
perfect
Olympic
one.
captain that first in Cam, and then like that year was such a special
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. That's so good. Yeah. But that's awesome. It's so awesome. What about you, Jared? Like, what was your turning point moment? Like maybe a staff, like it kind of made you grow, like you had that grow up moment.
I love my favorite summer was 2000, like the summer
Yeah.
before my last summer, my second to last summer. I had an amazing group of kids that summer.
Hmm.
I was a bunk 2 counselor for every encampment except for one encampment when I was in bunk 6 when I was a CIT. That particular bunk, I had Joey McGinty and Jack Ross amongst others.
I know.
So that was the best bunk ever. But other than
Awesome.
that, I was always in bunk
Oh, sorry,
2.
they're another camp relationship.
What's
Joey and
that?
Betsy.
Oh
Joey met,
yeah.
yeah, because Betsy was my camper. There's another one.
Mhm.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Uh, but all the other summers I was in encampments, I was in bunk 2, and I was always with Brandon Rubenstein, who was an
Doing the
Uno.
tune-up group, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was always really awesome. But that one particular summer, I had just graduated from high school. Um, I was an Olympic captain that summer. I had great kids. I had great co's. Uh,
Yeah.
Everything just felt really great. And then, unfortunately, our last summer, I was quarantined for a lot of it because one of my co's got sick, and we all had to like stay away from people. But
That was the
it was,
Impetigo.
yeah, it was really bizarre. I kind of went out like on a sour note, I guess.
Yeah.
I wanted to, uh, both myself and my girlfriend, like when I was a teenager growing up at Camp Alley Ben, we decided that we were just kind of, we wanted to go to the next like step in our lives in the summertime. I needed to get an internship. I was in college. I was away at college. Camp just seemed, like it was in the past a little bit. So I kind of went on a bad note, but the year before 2000 was just the best summer. It's the best
Yeah.
summer. Yeah, I had
Well,
such a
Speaking of like the age differences, though, Allie Ben was his girlfriend for a long time, and she was my counselor in bunk I or J. So it's
hmm
just crazy to think like the age difference. It really isn't that much of an age difference, but it
yeah.
feels like it.
It feels like it. Yeah.
It teaches you how to be responsible. I mean, I never was responsible for anything in my life until I was all of a sudden responsible for like 12 8-year-olds,
Yeah.
you know. And it
Yeah.
kind of, you grow up really fast and you learn really fast, and hopefully you do a good job, and hopefully you send the kids home happy and healthy. And if you do that, then you should consider it a success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. What was that like being in the double with Brandon?
The
Because
best,
like he's like a whole different kind of counselor.
the best, he's the best.
Yeah.
Miss him terribly. He's been in California for a long time.
Yeah.
We were extremely close. Um, uh, he was just so fun and always was so creative and always, had so much energy and was just such a good person all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, he was a legend for sure.
I got to be co's with him in bunk 12, which was the weirdest thing to
That's
see him in bunk 12. Yeah. He
yeah.
was, because he was always, the Uno tier. But
Oh,
that was I got really lucky with co's. Like Corey Trobin and I were co's for like most of my counselor time up in bunk 12. But we
Oh,
had
there's
this
another
rotating.
marriage.
that's
Yep,
another match.
that's right. There you go.
And Tiffany and Jake. I don't know Jake, but Tiffany Holmes was like in bunk A when I was there.
And Alex Kronstadt too. He met his wife
Lorna.
at camp too. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Tommy's getting married.
Tommy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
To
he was my,
Megan. Yeah.
I mean, so, all right,
Mhm.
sorry. I'm just
That's
thinking
so
of more
funny. Oh,
marriages.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why we got to do a whole other segment of just couples.
There's a
But
picture.
and
There's a
and
picture from.
Jess and Dave.
Oh,
Jeff
yeah.
Patel
Jessica
and
was my
Dave Kane.
camper
Yeah.
like 3 times.
Yeah. I played their wedding. My band played their wedding.
Cool. There's a picture from Elise and Rona's wedding of all the camp couples, and there was like a bunch.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That was, and Abby's. I think Abby and Lee's wedding was like all the camp people, but Elise's wedding was camp couples.
Wait, so you said you were co's with Brandon in 12?
I was co's with Brandon in 12. Well, Corey and I were kind of like the regulars of 12, and then we had this revolving door where we had like Matt Hader for a while, and then we had Brando, and we had Sax, like, and it was like this weird thing where we kept kind of getting these heavy hitters that would kind of come through for an encampment or just one summer or whatever, but Corey and I just kind of stayed there for a while. And he was the best co to work with. I loved every minute with him. But getting these guys in like Hader and Brando and Sax and whatnot, like we learned so much from them from just having that kind of experience. Yeah. But I thought when Brandon was coming into our bunk, I really thought that it was just going to be like, okay, everyone leave me alone. I need to write Olympic songs until Olympics happen so that I'm ready. Like that's all I thought he was like. I don't know how he can write songs like that without practicing all day every day, but he was actually like legitimately a great counselor, in the bunk. And then all of a sudden Olympics happened and he became like a lunatic.
Yeah.
I mean, that songwriting thing it was special. I thought I was a decent songwriter. I was not a parodies writer. Like those, like him and Holly and that crew was scary good. Yeah, you did songs too, didn't you?
Me?
Yeah, didn't you do songs?
One time, because Holly and Marley thought I could write songs, and I was like, I mean, I did work really hard, and I did do it for them, but Jamie and Becky made fun of me the entire practice because I would have to have the kids follow my singing, which was awful. But Jarad did a lot of the songs for the teams, and Reed did.
Reed, yeah, Reed was excellent.
And Lauren People, like she did my winning team, and they won. But Jared's some of the songs. What was the police? I was on some of his teams. Like I remember, I was a camper, and he was teaching me the songs. What was that team?
The Hulk, Incredible Hulk.
The Hulk.
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite Olympic song? Like, because everyone kind of had that, like one of those songs that just you'll hear the song come on the radio and then you replace all the words with your team's words.
I still love the one Jared taught me from the Hulk. Yeah. It was like the
Police.
Yeah, the Police. Like every friend you make. I'm not sing anymore.
Brandon Rubenstein has all the lyrics of all the songs written down.
Yeah.
From like every year.
Yeah.
I just remember, I can't think of a particular song necessarily, but the one person who I enjoyed as a camper learning the songs from was Marissa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was just like so into it. It was, it was like funny to watch.
Didn't Deborah do songs too?
Yeah.
Yeah, like those were like the people that I remember too, like Alicia Yeslow and Deborah and Marissa and Stacey Barrett, like all those girls were, were just like I looked up to them so much as like a younger camper. I mean, Amy Lee, was it Amy Lee?
Amy Leese?
Yeah, Amy Leese was like in, and then the Gussoffs. It's just crazy to like remember.
Wow.
That's why I'm doing this. Make everybody
like Kate McCullough. Then I see that if everybody sends their kids there, then it continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm looking. Yeah, I mean, my kids absolutely love going up to visit. I mean, they're not old enough yet, but Maureen was the first person that my daughter went to without us. So like she got a boo-boo at camp and needed a Band-Aid, and Maureen put her arm out like that, and this girl would not go with anybody anywhere unless it was with us, and barely a grandmother, but Maureen stuck her hand out. This kid grabbed her hand and I got a picture of her walking away down the lower ball field at the cookout. Like it was the weirdest thing. I was like, like she's just so comfortable there. And the whole pandemic, when everyone was doing Zoom calls, the only regular like request that they had was like, it was summertime. When are we going to go visit camp? Well, we can't because it's closed, and then Amelia and Spencer both. Can we call Uncle Spoon, Uncle Tommy, and Uncle Jeremy on one call? Like
Right.
that was every single, and it was like a nightly request because in their minds it was like, we're gonna go visit camp. And it's like, I love that. Jake and I talk about all the time, like that this is gonna be the most board members, kids that are actually gonna go to camp in a long time. You know,
Yeah.
with all the people coming on. And Vicky just joined the board, Stevenson. And what was her name before she got married? I can't remember. She
Hotler?
went Furman. She went
Hotler.
Furman. Yeah.
Tyler.
Yeah, she's on the board now too, and it's like, it's so cool to see the alumni kind of getting involved again, you know, and zooming in, you know, we're having these board meetings and all this. What's
Like
that?
Curtis Voorhees was like my lieutenant. Like it's
Yes.
just seeing, yeah. I mean, and everybody's have its kids. I don't know where Curtis Voorhees kind of came into that combo,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking like, yeah, if everybody sends their kids, I don't know if our kids are ready just yet.
Our daughter
Right.
could go next summer. She'll be 7
Yeah.
next summer.
Right.
But we may wait a
Till they
year.
both can go.
Yeah, our
Right.
son's
We
only
were
one year behind her.
Mhm.
So in 2
Yeah.
years, yeah.
Yeah. But it's such a crazy thing that like now all of our kids are gonna be able to go there, and it's the same place. It's just different, but it's the same place. You know, I mean,
I love my brother's wife like more than anything, but that's the only thing. She's a Quebec girl.
Oh,
But her brother still goes. Her brother's the
really?
counselor.
That's
Like
cool.
so it's like
Well,
that's their one thing, but
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but he won Furman at our camp, so I mean that's a, you know, automatic. The kids have to go there. That's it. You know, I mean, I think it's I think with, especially if your kids are going to go there and all that, like I think you're going to win. You know, the cousins are going to want to go to the same place. You know,
yeah.
but I don't know.
But
I
I
think
mean, her brother's still going.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
true. That's true. I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun now to see everyone with, you know, having these kids and having the intent, you know, to at least, you know, give it the offer to the kids, you want to go to camp, and like, this is where I went to camp. Let's go check it out. Like I think that's so cool. You know, I didn't get that like as a kid. Camp
right.
was a custody um, thing with my parents. They had just split the year before, so they couldn't figure out what to do with me for the summer of like, you know, like how they were going to work it out. So it was like, okay, well, if he goes to camp for the first half of the summer, then both parties can travel and do what they're going to do, and then, you know, we can split the other half of the summer up, and that's how it started.
Well, if
Like
anybody
it's
who's watching this needs help with custody
right. Oh, perfect
arrangement,
segue.
right there, they can
Mhm.
call me and I can help them with their custody arrangements and arranging it for camp.
Right, absolutely. And I'm on the enrollment committee and can help with scholarships if your kids need assistance with going to camp. So but that's actually, that's kind of a perfect segue, because then we're talking about having kids and growing up and all that kind of stuff. So we know you went to camp. We know camp kind of, you know, made you guys who you are, but who are you now? So what are you guys doing with yourselves? Obviously you're married and you like each other. That's good. But
Yeah, we do.
We're both lawyers. I am a trial lawyer. I do medical malpractice and mass torts and catastrophic injuries. I represent victims, families, and I work in Philly. We live in South Philly, and I love my career, and it's really amazing. And
awesome.
I'll let Mel tell you about her gig.
So basically for him though, if anyone is injured in any kind of medical setting, that's where he comes in. So that's like layman's terms if anyone needs him. So our fights are very interesting because we are both lawyers. But we know who wins. No. Okay. Yeah, right. So I started my own law firm a while back now, and I do a little bit of criminal stuff, like small stuff. You know, if you catch a felony, call Melanie. But basically, mostly I'm doing like divorce, custody support, and I'm also home with the kids with help from everybody, but they're home
Mhm.
virtually schooling. And we do have 2 kids, girl and a boy. They're 13 months apart. Yeah, I mean,
Wait,
we're
13 months?
Yeah,
13.
13.
13 months. I heard that correctly, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was 4 months and I was pregnant with him. Um, yeah, I mean, it works for us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was in the beginning, but now it's good. Yeah, first grader in kindergarten. Yeah, I mean, they know about camp. They want to go to camp. I was
Hmm.
talking to my daughter tonight about doing this, and then I was like, well, it's
She's still up, by the way. She every couple minutes I hear her walking out of her room and like kind of listening, but I can't
Harper, are
see
you
her.
up? Harper,
Oh, don't bring her down.
Harps.
Let her sleep.
She's not
She's
up.
sleeping.
Yeah, I knew she wasn't up.
Our son falls right, like he hits the pillow, he's gone. So he's been out for an hour.
Well,
Um,
I'm in the same boat with my daughters in first grade, but they're 22 months apart. So my son's in pre-K. So
Mhm.
it's just missing the same kind of time frame. My son out like a light. My daughter is the one that's got 1,000 questions that
Yep.
gets up 100 times, to come down and ask me something or she'll come
you're to
down and be
tell
like,
her she
I
loves
have
you.
4 things. Like she'll come down, I have 4 things. Like, like, okay, what do you got? You got 12 seconds.
Right.
you know.
But
But
I
that's
mean, I
yeah,
was telling her before I came down here, I was like, maybe I'll like work at camp or something. And, and then obviously I'm not. I mean, you
yeah.
never know in
You
this.
never know.
Then, yes, then she goes, that's okay. Like, I need time with my camp friends. I was like, you don't even want me to go? Like,
That's so funny.
I put it like, but I understand that. Like, it's the same thing for them. Like, they want time from us too. And
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you
We
don't
have
want to be with your parents all
our
summer, right?
laptop. We apologize if it's like been shaking all night. We're sitting on our couch on a
It's
pillow with the laptop.
it's all good. I had to like up my game a little bit when I started doing this. I got like a ring light thing and like a real microphone and everything
That
because
whole set.
I did the first one and I was sending like little clips around to the couple of people in the alumni group, like the committee, to be like, hey, what do you think? Like, is this gonna work? And the first thing I get back from Darlene was like, your audio sounds pretty bad. Like you should probably invest in like a good something like microphone or whatever. And then and I didn't even listen to it before. I was just like, I just recorded it, I cut it, I sent it. I didn't even listen back. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh man, yeah, I really gotta I gotta up my game. I don't care about your sound and all is fine. Like I can hear you perfectly, like in the headphones and everything. So it'll come through good on the
Yeah.
video. But but making those first couple, and I was like, am I doing it on the iPad? And then that was shaking on the thing, and it was it was a mess. Trying to figure out how to do this and keep it
yeah.
like steady and focused is crazy. But I got a nice setup where a ream of paper actually holds up the laptop at a perfect level
There
so
you
Huh.
that
go.
it's completely straight on.
Yeah.
One day I'll get like a
Darlene was
real
my
set.
camper.
Darlene was your camper, yeah. That's
Used for Winnie the
right.
Pooh scrunchies and Sammy Maggot. I loved her. Like these
Yeah,
were all my girls. Like
You're gonna get a lot of emails after this plate.
absolutely. Well, and it's funny.
I
I
love you all,
love that.
girl.
What's that?
I love them all. I miss all
Yeah.
my like Nicole. Nicole Spitz and like just just Jen Wade was so funny
Hmm. Yeah,
and
she's so funny.
so
So
funny.
funny. Yeah. I mean like I love doing this because like everyone I'm talking to is brings somebody up that like opens up some kind of memory even in my brain. Like I feel like I forgot a ton of stuff from camp and then we sit down and talk and all of a sudden all these stories just start reminding me of everything that was going on. Like, it's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Well, I mean, I was pretty tight with Jordan like growing up because we were only a year apart, but like his group of friends
He
was
just went out with them.
I was
They
like
have,
always in awe of how tight they were. It was awesome.
right. He
Yeah.
just went out with like Jack Ross and Stan and Corey,
Jeez.
Jeez.
Corey and I mean, I don't, and then I still remember like his group of, like John Goldstein and like all
Yeah.
those, like were all Jordan's like, and they would battle it out for the Olympics with the video.
Oh, I was just talking to somebody about the video thing. Like,
I could find them.
well, the videos were amazing, but more than that, they did it with no technology. Like, you look at what you can do today with a phone, I mean, in comparison, like there are whole movies shot on iPhones now, and these
Right.
guys were sitting there cutting and splicing tape, like, I
Right.
mean, like legitimately, it's incredible. I remember them using like the VCR to VCR thing to put them together, and it's nuts. But it was so good in comparison to what you can do now, like this. I mean, I just
Yeah.
hit go and it's done. Like,
I think that when the kids go to camp, like I hope that they don't get to use their cell phone. I don't know what the rules are, but like I
I don't
hope,
either. Yeah.
but I hope not like cell phones and
I doubt it.
I mean, I don't know. I just think that that was the beauty of it. Like you didn't have air when we were up there. My daughter's like, "It's hot here." I'm like, "Yeah, there's no air conditioning." Like, yeah, that's what happens. Like,
Uh, I remember as a CIT, I think it was like only Crystal Gate, I think was the only one that had like a cell phone. I think she was it. And everybody was like, "Oh, can I use your phone? Can I use your phone?" And you could only get service if you stood at the right spot on the playground. Like, and that was the only place you could get service. Like, and then otherwise it was like everyone was just fighting for the payphone at the CR, for like the
oh
10,
my God, and you would wait in line.
you
I
wait in
used
line. Yeah.
so many phone cards for that payphone.
Oh my God.
Place
I
was
remember.
dead, that
Well,
place.
I remember you mentioned Mike Hankin earlier. Marcy taught me how to do laundry. I'd never done my own laundry before because I tried it one time at home and I almost broke the machine. So my stepmom was like, "Nah, like
Yeah.
you, like, I got you,"
I
you
always
know.
sent it
And
out laundry. I don't know why I did that, but I always did.
So did I.
Yeah.
I did later. There was that one laundromat where they would fold it for you. So somebody turned me onto that where you dropped it off, they did it and folded it for you, and then you picked it up. So I
You
did
would just
that later.
throw it in like the big sacks and leave it like there was like a laundry like shed at each
Yeah.
village, and you just go and your bunk number would be on it, and you literally just dump it on someone's bed, and it was like a free for all.
Yep.
Right. Like, is this your sock? I remember doing laundry with Meredith Cohen on off
Yeah.
night. Like all those girls, we would all like, yeah, crazy. Those
Yeah,
moments.
I was just down there, I was just up at camp for the work day, and I was sitting down at the lake with Moyer and with Jake, and just kind of having that moment of like I spent so many nights sitting on that sailboat thing, just laying on it, on the catamaran. Yeah, I was
Where
just
were you
laying on it, my guitar most of the time. But just laying there with my like playing music, watching the stars and like the whole bit, and I loved that. There was especially then when like the whatever summers like Tommy had a girlfriend. Those were the summers where I was usually kind of on my own a little bit more because when he didn't have a girlfriend, it was just me and him hanging out most of the time. But like I remember just sitting at that lake and I'm like, God, it's the same lake. Like it's so cool to just sit there and it's exactly the same. Like I mean, trees are a little bit taller, I guess, but that's about it, but you still get that same feeling when you're just sitting there, except this time, I was sitting there and Moyer was having a beer and so was Jake and, and like, that's not normal for, being at camp, but yeah, it's so crazy though.
the whole passing of Scott Davis, which
Yeah.
is so tragic. I think that that's brought a lot of people together.
Yeah.
Back memories and like how important like people, he was to people and how important like camp is to people. And I think that,
Yeah.
his memory is going to be really like important for the
Yeah.
future.
Scott was a special dude. He just, he was so insane and so like but like I always talk about like how he always had a way of kind of like refocusing my perspective because every time we would talk and like I would just kind of be going through whatever it was going through in my life at the time and I'm like having a minute and Scott would say something that sometimes made sense, sometimes it didn't, and it was just like, yeah, and then like and then all of this like it kind of give you that moment. But like that's why I always put like the sun always shines on the hill. That was his thing. He said that all the time, and I put that on every post that I put up because it's like to me like that's camp now. Like that's when I get to go back up there, like that's the place.
Yeah.
But it's this one was tough. Like it's always hard when you lose somebody close, but like he was for a lot of us, like kind of growing up. I mean, he was, our village leader the whole time we were there, and was, he was he sat in that chair in the dining hall and just owned it, and the arrow find, that being, still is a thing, and that's
So, yeah, I know Steph.
yeah.
Steph Magnus Friedman did that. I remember Brandon Shefsky was really into that
Oh
arrow.
yeah, yep, yeah. Well, Tommy does it now, where he does the write up, for the
I
and
never
and
understood those poems.
well, we were with him a couple of times when he would write them, and I don't think he really I mean, he understood what he was trying to get at, but like none of it ever made any sense. But then it would be like a little cipher, and he would come up with it in his brain of like, oh, every third word there was this, and if you just kind of, and Chef was really good at that, trying to figure all that out. But yeah, yeah, they still do like the he talks crazy chant, and like, and it's funny because it's like they're saying it like about Tommy's words, but Tommy's words really came from Scott. Like that's like he kind of brought that along. So we are going to do, it like hasn't been like an official announcement or anything yet, but so I'm spilling the beans a little bit on here, that we are going to do a memorial for Scott at archery, and because that was his activity that he ran, and Matt and Steph Friedman stepped up and are taking care of that, so that we can do like a real thing at Golden Citizen this year. So
cool.
I'm hoping it gets done for this year, but yeah, Spoon wants to expand archery and make like a projectiles area and get axe throwing and all kinds of stuff up there, which I think is going to be sick, and
That's a good idea.
yeah, it was cool. It's going to be, yeah.
I'll do it safely.
Yeah. I don't know. I shot Corey Trobman with a BB gun up there. So like no. He's gonna watch this and be like, oh yeah, I still owe you for that one, but no, it was I didn't think it would. Yeah, he's gonna sue me now. I think the statute of limitations is over now.
You're
But
good.
he yeah, and I don't think, if I remember correctly, I didn't think it was that I had cocked it, and I was just like walking past, I'm like, oh yeah, and I got him right in the leg, and it got like, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I
Things
think
you
like,
can do when you're 20,
he left such a memory, but I also think like, I know she's still alive, but Aunt Maureen, like she's affected I mean, Scott was probably more on the boys' side, but
Yeah.
Aunt Maureen on the girls' side, like she was the best. Like she taught you to love camp, to love the campers, to love your counselors. Like she really like has instilled so many traits in generations to come.
Yeah.
Aunt Maureen, to
That's
me, like
that's my summer mom.
I know. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy was in bunk 9 when I was in bunk 10. He was my first friend at camp, and to this day still my best friend, and but when like that summer was like when my parents split up, and then all of that, and I had a lot of like turmoil like with my mom growing up and everything. Like the O'Neills were like, they were like my surrogate parents, and especially in the summertime, and it's but Maureen, like she teaches you how to care,
Right.
like, and how to have empathy for other people, and it's like
But
in a very,
because if she
oh,
was
right,
mad,
no, yeah,
if she was mad at you, you were so upset.
you were devastated with yourself. You were devastated
Right.
with your.
You were like, what am I going to do to get her to not be mad at me? Like,
Yeah, like what can I clean up? What can I paint? Like like
we might need to have a session with her on how to get our kids to be like that to us. So if our kids are upset with like like our kids can learn like, what can I do so my mom's not mad?
Yeah, right. I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tried. I was talking to her on Facebook the other day, trying to get her to do this after I talked to Marissa, and she's like, "I'll just be a crying mess." Like she's like, "I can't get through that. There's just too many memories, And I was like, "We can ugly cry together. It's okay. Please do one of these episodes. It'll be great." But
Yeah,
yeah,
like
so,
even like 20 things she can teach us
yeah,
about children.
right.
Parent. Yeah. Mom can join, like, yeah.
Yeah. I love that they did something, that they did the Golden Citizen for them on their way out. Like that was really cool. Did you guys come up for that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. They're just, I mean, such special people, and they devoted so much time to camp, but like, like they just had such an impact on all of us. It's insane, and it's cool to like someone who is like our co is taken over. That's really like, we all worked, we worked with Spoon, and it's so cool that like he's the director now. It's nuts.
New generation.
Yeah, a whole new, like
Yeah.
it's new, but it's the same. You still have an O'Neill on upper staff, so Tommy's still up there, and it's a
And
lot of
doesn't
fun.
Marissa sends her kids?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Marissa sends her kids, and that I remember. I forget who was sending their daughter for the first time was going to be this year, and
Meredith.
Marissa met who?
Meredith Ostak?
Yeah, and Marissa sat down her son and said, like, this is who you need to look out for, and like that you were the big brother, for their first year, and blah blah blah. And I was like, it just continues, it's so
Right.
cool that that stays that stays the same way,
Yeah.
so that's so cool. I love having these kind of conversations. I keep looking over here because I have like bullet points of things to remember to ask you. But so um the one of the main things, like that kind of sparked us doing this, and Friedman and I were sitting around talking, and I said, I was watching Joe Rogan, and I was like, he just talks, he's great, whoever he feels like talking to, and it's just like more conversational and whatever. But like, um we've been away from camp for a while, so like we've already had that sting of not having a summer. So like, what would you say to someone who this was their first time, not not deciding not to go to camp, they couldn't, with it being closed, like how what.
I felt for my cousins who couldn't, they were signed up, ready to go,
Mhm.
don't give up, it's gonna get better.
Yeah.
It's gonna open again. It's gonna be more magical and special than ever. Like everything is still there. It's just on hold, just like
Mhm.
the rest of the world, school, everything. So like just keep hoping. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep daydreaming. I mean, think of all for people who have been there before. Just think about all the wonderful things that you've done there before, and remember them, and try to like
Mhm.
relive them in your mind. And then before you know it, I mean, time flies when you're having fun,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to be
Yeah.
next before you know it. I mean,
And it's gonna be better than
it's already
ever.
Thanksgiving. I mean,
Yeah.
as much as this year has been, you know, insane, it's almost over. So,
Yeah.
hopefully there's some
Yeah.
hope on the horizon. I really believe that there will be. So I anticipate things somewhat getting back to normal, hopefully enough that the kids can go to camp next summer.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so sad when they canceled the summer. I mean, I understood why they had to, but it was just
Yeah.
I even said to Jared, I was like, this just is so sad for the kids who like wait all year to go to camp. But you
Yeah.
know what? It'll be better than ever next summer. Or the counselors will be
Everyone's gonna be more excited.
right. Everybody's gonna be
Yeah.
ready to go, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah. I was really impressed that this year, even with them not having camp, Spoon did the virtual camp.
Right.
And so it was really cool to even see the regular engagement from these kids, and I logged on and did like trivia and stuff because they were doing Kahoot or whatever for trivia. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this. That'll be fun, and but just to see that they were still engaging, like you would have 50 or 70 people logging in at any given time. And it's like, at least, like, you're not there, but like, can't, like, being at camp is one thing, but like I feel like that camp spirit is it doesn't go away as soon as you kind
Right.
of connect. Like, oh, your friends are from camp, like you always have that, and that's the glue that kind of
Right.
brought you all together. But it's, that's, you don't have to be there to have it, and that I do like that he was able to kind of do something like that this year. But I can't wait, to see those first images start popping up on social media of the kids getting to go back up, and everything, and everyone's so excited. I saw Rachel posted her son JJ is going to be a CIT. He got asked to be a CIT for this coming summer, so like that's really cool. And everyone's Rachel Shearer, yeah.
Okay.
And they're, getting in the mode, and it's like, we've already had board meetings like to get ready for the summer, and it's like it's nuts that like we're kind of getting there. And it's fun too because like Dean was a counselor and a camper, or the president now. So like we have a lot of alumni
Yeah.
doing stuff again, and it's really fun. And I'm glad that you guys have such great, better memories than I do of everything that happened back then, and that we could kind of go through some of that. And man,
Yeah.
you're like you with those names, like that's nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
you're
did it.
pulling names out I haven't heard in 20 years, like,
Listen, I mean, once you're in my circle, you're in my circle kind of
that's
thing.
it.
But
Yeah.
we'll be starting a fundraiser at some point for new mattresses.
Oh, for sure, right?
No
Yeah.
one should sleep on those mattresses.
You know what? That like we should try and get a hold of like Purple or like one of those companies
Well,
that
I'm
do
gonna
like the
try to pull
kids.
some connects of some people, but like, I mean, it was, I can't believe
It's
kids.
brutal. Yeah.
We slept. We slept.
We did. Yeah, we went and did the like a weekend. The last summer it was open. It was me, my wife, and my kids, and we were in a guest cabin, and those were pretty rough as far as the mattress goes. But the kids, um,
Yeah, they probably
like,
thought it was a
well,
hotel.
yeah, they thought it was like a hotel, but like with you're used to them having their own rooms and stuff. So like you put them to bed at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and it's like, well, now what do you do?
Right.
Like,
Right.
so we're just sitting out on the porch watching like Netflix on like an iPad, and I was like, yeah, I remember going and like doing stuff now. Like this would be the time to like go and do stuff. But then we went in to go to bed, and I woke up the next morning. I was like, yeah, we got to get new. Can we give them a new mattress? We can buy them a mattress, right? Like this is brutal. And those were the nice mattresses.
Right. The guest, yeah.
But
I mean,
so
I
yeah,
guess
we got it.
camper, you're so tired from everything you do all day
Yeah,
that
well,
you,
when you're a kid, you're made out of rubber and magic anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Like, it's
Yeah.
just like you don't hurt. That's the best part about being young. Your back doesn't hurt all the time. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Agreed.
But, yeah, right. But yeah, so I mean, any so before I let you guys go, because I know it's late, we're taping this late at night. Do you have any parting words for the next generation of campers or counselors, or anything that you think would be helpful to the youngins?
Uh, it, wow. Let me think for one moment. Do you have anything?
yeah, I just think like keep going as long as you can go because you grow up and you're an adult and you have responsibilities and you can't just go anymore. And you just want to, and those times when you're fighting with someone in your bunk or you hate one of your counselors or whatever it is, like just know that like being at camp is the most special place. And then every day you should appreciate being there and just the memories you make and the people that you become friends with or the people you eventually marry or, those things. Your dinner dance date in bunk one could be your future, wife or husband or whatever the case is. So like just really, really just go as long as you can.
Yeah.
Right. I would say, cherish the relationships that you make there, similar to what she's saying, because when I was like in college and I was in law school and, friends from after law school, everyone knew my camp friends. They're like, wow, like this camp must have been like some kind of place. Like you guys are all like family basically, and you're
Yeah.
also, you know each other better than I know my sibling. And it's true. I mean, I think it's a really unique place in that these relationships develop and they continue to develop even when you're not there. So just don't take anything for granted while you're there.
Right.
Remember everything as much as you can remember. Enjoy it in the moment when you're doing it, and be yourself, because that's the place
Yeah.
to do it, and just you know enjoy.
Yeah. No one's going to judge you there. Be yourself.
I love that. I love that. That camp, I always felt like camp was the place where the kid who was never going to be popular could be a superstar, you know?
Mhm.
And I mean, it's yeah. I mean, that, like I was telling Kelly Costello, like that was the first, like her, him, and Sean Banks, and that like them kind of giving me a nudge, like to play music in front of people. Like that was, and I'm still playing in a band now, you know. And it's like I never would have happened if I wasn't like kind of nudged, you know, to just be yourself, you know. And I love that you have that opportunity at camp, you know, to just come out of your shell and join the Backstreet Boys, or you know, whatever you're gonna do, you know. But I mean,
Yeah, big mazel tov to Sean. I still keep in touch with him. He just had
yeah,
his first child
yeah,
during this pandemic, so
hmm
mazel
yeah.
tov to Sean.
I cannot even imagine doing that now, like with the pandemic and all of the
Yeah, my cousin
protocols
just
and
had a
all that.
baby last week. More, I mean,
Crazy,
yeah, so it's
crazy.
just, yeah, but hopefully, hopefully it won't be
We'll get to
the
spend a
pan,
lot of time with the baby, so I mean,
Yeah,
like
yep.
a positive, I
says
guess.
the one who has a 6 and 7 year old. We're a
Eh,
5 and 6 year old who doesn't have a baby right now, and our kids sleep through the night.
Yeah, but I'm saying like a lot of time with the baby. It's a good bonding experience.
yes, yep.
For them.
For them.
Man, thanks for
Yeah,
doing
thanks
this.
Yeah.
for having us.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for being on here. And I'm sure, look, we could all talk about camp for 1,000 hours at a time. I'm sure I'll have you on here for another thing. Maybe we'll do that couples thing. That would be really cool. And
That
just have a whole bunch of couples just pop up on the screen. I think that would be super,
you could
super
play
fun.
like the newlywed game.
We could. Oh my
Like
God, that'd be
really know.
great.
You really
Yeah.
know your spouse.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like we could do like the virtual welcome show, the newlywed game. Like, you know,
All
but
right.
that'd be fun. I don't know, but I
Oh, wait,
love
I'm
talking.
sorry. But the original Mike and Elisa
Mike and
Noble
Lisa.
are like the
Yeah,
original. They could be the hosts.
that's right. That's right. Do you remember
And
Singled
Emma
Out?
Summers at a camp.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
and the Friedmans, Josh and Kim.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You said that and it just made me think about, do you remember playing Singled Out as like an evening activity?
Yes. I
yeah.
Oh,
definitely look like Jenny McCarthy.
yeah. I remember my nephew went to camp for just the one summer and he went home early, but before he went home, he was so excited because he won Singled Out and was going to have a um uh what's that, the
Party.
a canteen date with Kirby, and like
Ah,
that was it, and then
So
he went
Kirby
home.
Coughlin,
Yeah, yeah.
he was like my best friend growing up. Her
Yeah.
and Hirsch and all those girls. Yep.
Oh, but he was on cloud nine, but then he went home early, and like, and then it didn't happen, and then that was like
Well,
it
maybe
was
we
so
can make
fun.
that happen. We could
I
find people
know.
whose
Yeah.
wishes didn't come true, and we can make it
Get
happen.
him, get him on. That's right. Oh man. Well, hey, you guys are fabulous. I love seeing you, and I love catching up with you guys whenever I get a chance to. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here. And yeah, and yeah, we'll talk more camping again soon.
All
Okay.
okay.
right.
All right. All right.
Oh,
Until next time. See you, Slipper World.
Bye.
bye.